Good evening. Airlines today slashed their flight schedules at airports across America as part of the government mandate to cut back on air traffic as the government shutdown drags on. 700 flights were canceled today across the four biggest airlines, and those cuts will continue through the weekend. And in the days ahead, the reductions will get even steeper, with the government ramping up to grounding 10% of all flights by next week. And if your flight wasn't canceled today, there's a good chance you encountered long lines like these, or a long delay. There were more than 4,000 flights delayed today, some up to 4 hours. The government says these cuts are necessary to relieve the strain on air traffic controllers who are working without paychecks and ensure safety in the skies. Maggie Vespa's tracking it all tonight from Chicago's O'Hare Airport.
Tonight, government-inflicted travel chaos mounting coast to coast.
So just like everybody else in America, my flight got canceled for tomorrow.
Air traffic control staffing shortages today, triggering major delays at Houston, Phoenix, and at Reagan National Airport in Washington, where delays averaged 4 hours. That's on top of the hundreds of flights already canceled after the FAA began reducing airspace because of the government shutdown. 4% of flights cut today. American Airlines says it's canceling 220 flights per day through Monday. United canceling more than 300 flights this weekend alone. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says cuts will ramp up to 10% next week, warning if the shutdown drags on.
If this continues and I have more controllers who decide they can't come to work, we might go to 15% or 20%.
The FAA saying the cancellations are needed to ease the burden on air traffic controllers who are working without pay. Flyers frustrated from Chicago. How frustrating is this, that we're in this scenario where it's all so unpredictable?
Oh yeah, it's wicked frustrating. Everybody should just get along. Let's figure it out. These air traffic controllers, my safety is in their hands.
To Philadelphia.
This is like the worst that I've ever seen.
It's unbelievable and it's embarrassing for our country.
At United Airlines Network Operations Center, staff are figuring out which flights to cancel and how to get passengers rebooked.
I would compare the 188 cancellations that we're currently doing like a mid-sized winter storm.
Mid-sized winter storm.
Mid-sized winter storm. The closer we get to the holidays, obviously the available seats will be less. So I think that that's a little bit more impactful.
Maggie joins us tonight from O'Hare. Maggie, a lot of viewers out there are going to be wondering, how are the airlines choosing which flights to cancel?
Yeah, so Tom, we're seeing airlines cancel routes that basically go back and forth several times a day. American Airlines, for example, normally has 10 flights between Miami and Tampa, and today they canceled 2, and they just had 8. And all the airlines, for what it's worth, say they're giving passengers multiple days' notice, and they're waiving rebooking fees. Tom.
Okay, Maggie Vespa leading us off tonight. Now to the other big news on the shutdown today, the major reversal by the Trump administration on funding the food assistance program for those in need. Here's Peter Alexander.
Tonight, as food distribution centers face another crush of customers in need, the Trump administration says it will comply with a federal court order fully funding food assistance or SNAP benefits for November. Still, it's unclear how soon that money gets to the 42 million Americans who rely on it.
I'm going for bread and eggs, necessary things that but it's hard.
But on Capitol Hill, the longest federal government shutdown is set to stretch into its 7th week. Republicans blasting Democrats for repeatedly blocking a funding bill that would reopen the government.
This is Trump derangement syndrome. Nothing more, nothing less.
Senate Democrats now say they'll vote to end the shutdown if Republicans pass a 1-year extension of Obamacare subsidies.
Democrats are ready to clear the way to quickly pass a government funding bill that includes health care affordability.
Republicans call that offer a non-starter.
We have a shutdown, as you probably know, because the Democrats have gone, they're crazy.
But days after Democratic election wins, the president acknowledged were largely about affordability.
They lied because they talked about, prices are up. No, prices are down under the Trump administration, and they're down substantially.
Since the president took office, crude oil is down 16% and gas down 6 cents a gallon. But grocery prices overall are up slightly. Staples like ground beef up substantially, 13%. Orange juice up 17%. The president also touting Walmart's Thanksgiving meal deal.
It's 25% less this year than it was last year. That's true.
But only partially true. It is cheaper, but that Walmart package is also much smaller, with 6 fewer items. Unlike last year, no sweet potatoes, no whipped topping, or pie.
And Peter joins us now live in studio. Peter, I know you have some new reporting on a high-profile pardon.
Tom, that's right. A White House official tells NBC News that President Trump has approved the pardon of Darryl Strawberry, a familiar name, three-time World Series champion who pleaded guilty to tax evasion 30 years ago. The official noted that Strawberry has become active in Christian ministry, started a recovery center as well that remains operating today. Tom.
All right, Peter, great to see you. Now to the latest on that fiery crash of a UPS cargo plane in Louisville. Today, the NTSB revealed some of what they learned from the plane's black boxes. Here's Tom Costello.
From a drone and on the ground, NTSB investigators are mapping the scorched debris field from Tuesday's crash and revealing the black box recordings captured a bell going off in a cockpit 37 seconds after the plane began its takeoff roll, lasting until the recording stopped 25 seconds later.
During this time, the crew engaged in efforts to attempt to control the aircraft before the crash.
Among the missing, Megan Washburn, a mother of two, and John Laux, both worked at the scrap metal business that was hit. The three pilots on board also died. Captain Richard Wartenberg, First Officer Lee Truitt, and Captain Dana Diamond.
I made the difficult 3 phone calls to the spouses of our pilots, our colleagues.
UPS Pilot Union President Bob Travis.
They were just wonderful human beings. They were fun to be around. They were happy, go-lucky people. They were funny.
At a vigil here Thursday night, the community gathered to remember those who were lost.
He's like an angel on earth.
The last time you spoke to him?
Probably like 2 weeks ago.
The question, why did the left engine and the pylon attaching it to the wing of the plane break free before the crash?
We don't know at this point in time, is this an airplane-specific issue, or is this a fleet problem? We don't know that.
There are haunting similarities between this crash and one in 1979 involving an earlier model of the same plane in which also the engine and the pylon came off. The question is whether this plane suffered a similar fate.
Tom Costello there with a lot of new reporting for us. Tom, thank you. We have breaking news tonight in the case of that 9-year-old girl missing for nearly a month in California. Authorities arresting Melody Buzzard's mother, but she's not being charged with her disappearance. Our Steve Patterson explains.
Tonight, new video showing the mother in the middle of the maelstrom of her own daughter's mysterious disappearance, now under arrest. Authorities today putting handcuffs on 40-year-old Ashley Buzzard, but on unrelated false imprisonment charges. In a statement, the Santa Barbara Sheriff's Department says detectives learned of a recent incident where Ashley prevented a victim from leaving a location against their will, which constitutes false imprisonment. Adding, although the arrest occurred during the course of the missing person investigation, it is not directly related to Melody's disappearance. Former Police Chief Cedric Alexander is an NBC News law enforcement analyst.
Is the hope that while she's in custody, she will give them something that they can use for this case that they're already investigating?
She is the link to solving this case at this point. So hopefully, through investigation and through their questioning of her, they're able to come to some resolve around this.
The arrest comes one day after deputies released new surveillance video showing Ashley with her daughter Melody at a rental car counter during a road trip, both appearing to be wearing wigs. Detectives say the investigation is centered on that road trip in early October. The pair seen in a white Chevy Malibu on October 7th. The rental car's license plate swapped from California to New York during the trip. Melody was last seen on October 9th, spotted near the Utah-Colorado border. The search now spread out over at least 5 different locations in 4 states, while a mother waits behind bars.